Okay, so as stated before, I'm kind of having some trouble getting back into the swing of things now that exam season's over, so, yeah, this video is kind of filler. I recorded the audio as filler between, well, I was making, like, Pen Part 1 redone about a year ago. Might be over a year ago now, or a bit under a year ago, I don't remember, but at the start of this little hiatus, when I was thinking it would be much shorter than it ended up being, I did go and edit a lot of this, but, yeah, I didn't finish the editing. It's too much of a headache. I'm just basically adding this little disclaimer at the start and uploading it to have something out this week. Okay, the thing where I said where it's like, oh, I'm gonna tell you how long I took to explain all this is like 15 minutes, and like how long I spent talking about just the 2000s. Probably like I say on estimate 9 of those 10 minutes. I didn't actually time that out. That is too much of a headache. Sorry. Fuck you. If you somehow enjoy this in spite of the subparness of it, especially since this is old audio that's not that great, then please hit the like button, make you to push it, hit the subscribe, also if you enjoy, hit the subscribe button for more, yada yada. Yeah, this is the intro, you're not getting one at the end, fuck you.
Why, hello, pal! So, okay. In French, they have almost every verb is gendered. So that's words referring to an object, right? Or is that nouns? I don't give a fuck, honestly. Okay? So say, this peanut butter bagel I made myself to eat once I've recorded these gags is, it's a noun. So that would mean in French the word bagel would have two gendered versions, right? Or is... I don't know. It might not be gendered. French, when it comes to the way it genders words, is one of the most bullshit of all the Romance / Indo-European languages. And the Indo-European languages have a lot of bullshit when it comes to gendering things. So that's saying a lot. But, like, the Indo-European languages, and especially the Romance languages, have a lot of bullshit when gendering things. Yes, I'm doing this all one take without a script. Eel with it. So, yeah. But as I was saying... Basically, yeah, it has that. And I remember 8-year-old me, it was 9-year-old me, I think even 10-year-old me, always thought, wow, that is just stupid. It makes no sense. It doesn't change the meaning of the word at all. That is a dumb thing. And here's some counter-arguments to that. One, we have, in English, we have gendered words in the form of she, her, he, and him. Are there any more? Probably a couple other gender pronouns, but the point is, in English, we do have gendered words, albeit they're exclusively for referring to a single other person whom we do not know the gender.
Hey, so, this is Editing Amelia, about 11 months after recording this. Yeah, this was initially recorded as filler while I was working on part 1 redone, and then it got abandoned, and I'm basically picking it back up again, because, look, exam seasons are in, a lot of the work's already done, so this can be used to help keep uploading stuff up while I don't have a lot of time to work on videos and shit, so, I'm kind of freaking shit at the audio, but I just made an error there. We use gendered pronouns when referring to a single person we do know the gender of. If we don't know the gender, then we use they, them.
So, yeah, it's pretty edge case in the grand scheme of things, as opposed to French where you'd have a hard time saying a sentence without using a gendered word. But, yeah, so... but it still exists, and you might say, well, we need to know the gender of the person who we're talking about, and the question is, why? If we're not horribly sexist, why? Like, in, say, Korean, or, like, I believe in most East Asian languages, but I know Korean is a specific example where they don't have gendered pronouns at all. Like, that's just, gendered words are not a thing in that language, I believe. Or at least he, him, she, her, their equivalents aren't gendered. I'm pretty sure that I, or whatever, isn't gendered, which I know in Japanese, I in pronouns referring to the self is gendered. But regardless, those languages show that the languages referring to a single other person have no need to be gendered. Okay? So then, okay, right? But I have an even better argument to this. That you can show to anyone who basically who could even like this video for them. Maybe they could give me watch minutes to use. But you can show to anyone who basically says, oh, this thing in this other language is needlessly overcomplicated as a way of saying things. Okay? So, right. So, I present to you years in English, okay? And all the rules regarding them. Okay, so in a normal language like, say, French, you just say the year by saying the number it is. Like, instead of saying 1994, they'd say 1994. I mean, they wouldn't say that because of how much BS there is in referring to numbers in French. It would be like 10 100s, 9 100s, and 9 tens, and 4. Like, it's ridiculous the way they do it in French, but it would still be, they'd say 1994 the same way they'd say 1994, okay? So in English, the way it works is we say the first part of the year as if it was its own number, like 19, and the second part of the year like it'd be its own number, 94, making 1994. Like on clocks, like the current time is 12:52, which is, well, 12:52. It's not 1252. Except the text-to-speech bot might sometimes fuck that up. But besides the point, so anyway, right, that's how that works, okay? And we also sometimes, for years within the last century, we sometimes abbreviating them by just saying the second part. So that turns into 94, okay? But then for years in the first decade of a century, how do we do that? We don't just refer to 100 as 19. Then we might get confused with the year 19 years after the birth of Jesus Christ. So we call it 1904. So we basically give a pronunciation to the word to the zero in the number, okay? So and then we abbreviate that, of course, to 09, okay? Obviously we wouldn't do that now because 2009 is in the last century, so 09 means 2009, okay? And that I'm gonna come back around to the 2000s in a second. That gets me into a massive can of worms there. But then for years before the start of our calendar, the Julian calendar, years a whole 2022 years ago, or is it 2023 years ago? It doesn't really matter the exact of those. It'll be off in a couple when this video is a couple of years old anyway. So we refer to them as negative numbers. The year before our calendar starts is 1 BC, as opposed to look at the current years where we're in like 2022 AD. But that's 1 BC. The year before that is 2 BC. Like it works like a negative number, okay? It's a negative value, okay? So now with that groundwork all established, we can get into the way that we can get into all the special rules pertaining to years within the last 22 years that only pertain to years within the 21st century or the third millennium or after the second millennium. Who knows how it'll play out, but okay. So the current year is So basically, in the late 90s, there was there was basically a whole thing that's like, we're in a new era. We're in the year 2000. The new year, it's 2000. 2,000 years since the start of our calendar. It's a big deal. In addition to the film called Space Odyssey 2001, which referred to as 2001, as opposed to what our system would typically imply it should be, i.e. 2001, this meant that the year was referred to, and so that's how the year became 2000 instead of 2000. Oh yeah, I forgot. For years at the beginning of centuries, we say blank hundreds, so 1900, 1800, 1000, 100. Oh yeah, by the way, for years that are before in the first millennium, we refer to them as, say, 920 thing. We don't say 0923, we say 923. But anyway, back to years specifically pertaining to the 21st century, this video could be more well organized. I might re-record it because of audio errors. I don't know. And so at that point it'll be more organized, but I don't know. Okay? What'll happen, I'll do, okay? So then, of course, years after that are 2001, 2002, 2003, the year I was born in, 2007. Okay? So that's that, okay? But then we get to the magical year of 2010, where this mess goes from complicated to a fucking insane, okay? Technically speaking, some of that's fucking insaneness comes before 2010, but 2010 is really where this becomes a can of worms. Because for years in the 2010s, at the time we would have said 2010 or 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. But then it also became normal to say 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 20. I need to drink some water right now, so give me a moment. Yes, I did genuinely need water there. But regardless, the year is okay. But then we hit the okay, and people would just say random one based sometimes, like if they're trying, how fast they're trying to be, how much impact they want it to have, personal preference, all kinds of random bullshit would determine. Of course, random chance would determine if someone said 20 or 2000 and before say 15 or 16 or 17 or 10 or whatever. Okay, so that was that. Then we hit 2020. The year of hell. The year where everything went to shit. 2020. Okay? And because 2020 rolls off the tongue bad, or at least that's my theory, and the reason why I predicted this would happen back in 2019, basically the way we pronounce, 2020 rolls off the tongue bad, so I predicted people would always just say 2020. And I think that happened, and I think this was actually reinforced by the whole thing. It's like, yep, we're in 2020, the worst year ever. I think this actually reinforced that. And so because of that, for all the years in the 21st century we'd say 20-something, we just started saying 20-something. Of course, this means for years in the 2020s, we always refer to them as 2020-something. But now we're in the 2020s, we always refer to years in the 2010s as 20-something. We almost never refer to them as 2000 and something. Except for 2010, where I sometimes hear people say 2010 relatively frequently compared to, say, 2016. But yeah, it's 2010 now. It's the 2010s now. It's not the 2010s anymore. But then because saying 20-something feels outdated and old-fashioned, we still say the 2000s and 2000 and something. And we don't say 2000, we say the year 2000. Oh, by the way, because we don't want to because the 2000 is a number we actually hear about once every 2 weeks, we don't just say 2000 as a year, because we might get confused with the number 2000, so we say the year 2000. But because there's so many words in that, like, 6 words, it's such a long thing to say, so we abbreviate it to Y2K, which I abbreviated it to during a panic around Y2K, which was a big, massive thing. We all know what it is. This video is targeted towards English speakers. You get the point. But we abbreviate it to Y2K, which is pretty much an numeric name on par with it's closer to the year of the fucking dragon than it is to say 2005. Like, come on. 2000, it's like, yeah, that's some stupid shit. But that is also how it works. That is how that mess works. And so, it's pretty much an numeric name, Y2K is, but still, by and large, the most common name used for the year just because it's simple. Y2K. Albeit, when I was looking up something for this video, I will note it's a pain in the ass to type out. Anything that keeps going between number and letter is a pain in the ass to type out, bluntly, okay? But regardless, wow, I'm hot. So hot. June in Glasgow, man. It's a thing. Especially when you're getting pumped up and hot talking and are tired of talking persistently. Fuck, I'm getting my hoodie off. I'm gonna fucking burn. God. So, anyway. So, yeah, I think that's everything. Oh, yeah. And then for when we're saying the second half of the thing, we still say, oh, something. We don't say 1,000 something or 2,000 something. When we're, in the way we say 94, we say 04, okay? The year I was born in is 07. It's the 08 financial crash, in the same way it's the 2008 financial crash. So, yeah, it's so we say something for that, for referring only when we refer only to the second half of the year, in the same way we would refer to 2011 as 11, although I will note, something I just noticed is, we only seem to employ our referring to the second half of the yearing system for referring to random years, once that's quite a way into the past. But regardless, if we say something, for when it's just the second half of the year, but not when it's the whole year. 2007 would sound stupidly outdated. like 2003. But '03 makes sense, right? Like 9/11 took place in 2001, not 2001. That's how it works. And with that, I think I've finally explained the intricacies of how to say the names of different years of in English. Every single last fucking rule we have. And at the end, I will now present you with a time I've taken that shows how much time I've taken to explain the whole thing, and how much time I've taken to explain the rules around years, specifically in the third millennia. Or in other words, within the last 23 years. Finally, it's done.